Okay, we are live on Facebook.
All right, baby, we're on live.
Yeah, so we're going to hit the intro.
No, talk a little. You got to talk a little bit to your fans.
Well, I mean, I'm in John's seat. Master
Yes.
J, I'm in his seat.
Yes.
He just had surgery.
Yes.
We're hoping he gets better quick because I miss my seat over there, but John's in my seat. It's okay. And we have a very, very special guest.
Yes. We're going to introduce him when we go live on the app.
Correct. I'm happy he's here, and we're going to have a really good show.
Yes.
So
Hit the play button on the butt. You see it?
Yep.
It says streaming.
No, hold on.
I'm teaching Ralph how to do the board and everything.
Okay, now it's streaming.
Hit the play button on the thing with blinking.
Ladies and gentlemen, people of all ages, I would like to welcome you to another episode of Jay and Ralph's House. Jay and Ralph's House. The only podcast on the internet that you can speak freely and will not get banned. Not get banned. Get ready. Get ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Jay and Ralph's House with your host, DJ Master J and Ralph C, and special guest host Joe Gallo.
Guess who's back?
What's up? What's up, everybody?
We are live. So last week we didn't do a show because Master J had major surgery to repair his ongoing problems with his hip. Everything is good. It's good to see John again. I did come over to his house a few times to make sure he was okay. He's doing well. He's doing physical therapy. I mean, he showed me the scar. It wasn't too pleasant, but it's okay. Everything is good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you feeling good, John?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I just can't get downloads yet, but I have to stay in a
That's
90-degree
okay.
angle and just keep it.
Listen,
moving.
your health is more important than anything, so I wouldn't even worry about it.
Nah, I'm not worried about it too much.
Just a couple of things. Tomorrow, let me get my... tomorrow is Earth Day.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to do a little advertisement for beautification of Glen Cove, Earth Day, community cleanup, Saturday, May 16th, 2026, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. The meet is at Morgan's Park. So there's going to be 3 locations that they're doing. Landing, Austral Park, and Brewster Street. Just to give them a shout out because, number one, they do it volunteer work. They clean up the city of Glen Cove. It's a lot of work. I mean, we do have garbage pails everywhere, but, people drive by and throw all their stuff out the window. But it's okay because we have great volunteers. And the best part about it, the whole thing, John,
Yeah.
I'm going to be there.
Nice.
That's the best part. One more thing before we get to our guests. Something happened today was really weird. There is Village Square. There's a Village Square Apartments. And we have these big bellies, which are garbage cans that they crush the garbage. It's like a compactor.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there because it wasn't reading, and I had to open it up. And so anyway, there's a Chase Bank right there. And this lady came up, and she jumped out of the car. She ran inside. First of all, it was illegal where she parked. It's a fire zone. But she jumped out of the car. She ran in. I guess she went to the ATM, got the money out. She came back out, and she starts screaming. So I'm standing there. I didn't want to get involved. She locked her keys in the car. So 2 guys are walking by. They're looking. They're trying to open the door. They couldn't open the door. She was panicking because she said, I'm going to get a ticket because I was parked on a fire zone. So what do you think I do? I walk over there. She goes, please don't call the cops. I'm going to get a ticket. I said, well, how are you supposed to open the door? She said, I don't know. Let me call my husband. So I'm looking in the car. I look in the back. It was a 4-door.
Mm-hmm.
I look in the back. The back doors are open.
Oh my God. That's something somebody.
I'm like, lady, I opened the back door, and she goes, oh, thank God. How'd you get in? I'm like, the back door was open. You know what I said to her? I said, I hope this teaches you a lesson not to park illegally on a fire zone.
Exactly.
And she know what she said to me? I'll never do that again. So, but anyway, we have a very, very special guest. This young man, I'm going to call him a young man. He is running for Senate, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Rory, you're running for, what district is this?
The 7th Senate District.
Okay, so Rory...
Fighting 7th.
The Fighting Seven. Rory Lancman, correct?
Yes, you got it. Nailed it.
So introduce yourself. I got the camera on you right now. We have a new camera system too. So go ahead, introduce yourself to the public.
Sure. Well, guys, it's great to be here. I'm Rory Lancman. I am a candidate for state senate in the 7th District, which covers pretty much all the North Shore of Nassau County, from the Queens County line to the Suffolk County line. I myself live in Great Neck. This is a district that has flipped back and forth between Democrats and Republicans probably for the last 15 years plus. It's a district of people who want their government to be reasonable, to be responsible, to be pragmatic. And when they feel that the direction of the government has gone too far this way or too far that way, they've kind of reined it back in by picking candidates who can deliver for them. I grew up in New York City, in Queens. I went to Queens Public Schools, Queens College, Columbia Law School, served in the Army and the Reserves, the National Guard. I was an infantry officer. And
thank you for your service.
Yeah, well, thank you. My pleasure. It was my great honor. In New York's own 42nd Infantry Division, the storied Rainbow Division. As a lawyer, I developed expertise, especially in representing working people who had been discriminated against, or women who had been sexually harassed on the job, people who had been denied their wages, people who had been injured through unsafe working conditions. And through all of my life, really starting in my teens, have been involved in serving my community in some way or another. And maybe we'll get into the details of that a little bit later. Eventually, I was elected to the New York State Assembly in an area your viewers, listeners might be familiar with: St. John's University, Queens College. That's where I grew up. That's where I spent many years. So I was elected to the State Assembly. I served 3 terms in the State Assembly. I was elected to the New York City Council. I served 7 years in the New York City Council. I married a beautiful, brilliant woman who was born in Iran. After the Islamic Revolution in 1979, most of the Jewish community had to flee. Some went to Israel, some went to Los Angeles. My wife and her family, when she was 10 years old, came to New York. Fortunately for me, we raised 3 beautiful children who are now in their 20s, who we couldn't be more proud of. They're good people. They're independent, and as anyone who's had children knows, we take a tremendous amount of joy and pride in their growth and in their success. After I left the city council, my wife and I moved to Great Neck to be closer to her family. You might know there's a large Persian Jewish community in Great Neck. At the time, I was, I don't know if I was working for the governor or if I was working for the legislature at that time. But when I left the council, I went to work for the governor to oversee the Public Service Commission. That's the body that regulates utilities, telecoms, and others, with a heavy focus on work on Long Island. My office was in Plainview. After that, I ran a legislative commission on how we can improve the Long Island Power Authority to deliver better service at lower costs for Long Island residents. And along the way, found myself getting drawn in deeper to Long Island government, Long Island politics. Not shortly after I moved to Great Neck, I found myself running for the Great Neck Library Board of Trustees. Turned out that there were a group of people in the community who were trying to take over the library because they had an agenda of taking certain books off the shelves that they didn't think we should have the freedom to read and decide for ourselves. So I ran for the library, won what might have been the most insanely contested library election in the history of Great Neck. Became president of the library, made sure that no books were banned at the Great Neck Library. Nobody is going to tell us what we can read and what we can think about. And I guess I caught the attention of the governor. From there, I was appointed vice chair of Nassau County's Financial Control Board, overseeing the county government's finances, its budget, its contracting, its debt. And well, perhaps we'll talk a little bit more about the work that I did there, saving taxpayers' money and being a watchdog for over county government. For my sins, when the governor had to take over Nassau University Medical Center in East Meadow, which is the only public safety net hospital in Nassau County and really on Long Island, I was moved over from the Financial Control Board to the Hospital Board, where I now chair the Finance Committee, and we are working hard to save that vitally important hospital for those in Nassau County who need it. But my day job, all of that other stuff is.
You have a day job after all that?
Yeah, so I gotta learn it, earn
Wow.
a living like everybody else to pay these ridiculously high property taxes and insurance costs and everything else that we have to endure in Nassau County. My day job is I'm a lawyer for a nationally prominent Jewish civil rights organization, representing victims of anti-Semitism all across the country, including here on Long Island, as well as lecturing and writing and training organizations in how to effectively combat anti-Semitism. And so all of that puts me in the place, which puts me in this chair with you guys today, which is as a
And we're happy you're here.
candidate for the state senate.
Yeah, and we're very happy you're here.
Thank
Very,
you.
very.
And have you ever visited the Holocaust Center in Glen Cove?
I have. I've had the opportunity in my long career in public and community service to be deeply involved in issues related to combating anti-Semitism and ensuring that nothing like the Holocaust ever happens again to the Jewish people or to any people. And I have been to the Holocaust Museum in Nassau County many times. I've been there on some occasions that were emotionally very powerful. Just a few weeks ago, we were there. There was an unveiling for a statue commemorating the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, which at this moment for the Jewish people as particular residents as the state of Israel is fighting for its survival, and the Jewish community around the world, including here in the United States, is fighting for its place in society, to be treated as equal citizens and to live our lives without fear and discrimination.
It's I put up these banners in Morgan's Park. I don't know if you ever been there. Once a year, this time, around Memorial Day, we put up banners for the military. People who served, that lived in the area. They served in probably every war. And I ran into somebody today. So I put a few banners up today, and I ran into some really very amazing woman. And she was 93 years old. And she said that she lost her parents and her brother during World War II. I guess it was when the Nazis took over. When they were, he was a store owner. That's what she said. And they closed him down and they took him and stuff. But You know what she said to me? She said, she said, I felt so safe coming here in America. And she did tell me that she does fear now the way things are going. I mean, how do you feel about that? When somebody was in there, lost her parents and her brother, and then now she's talking about she's reliving it again.
So much that's happening to the Jewish community in the United States and around the world, including in Europe, where the Holocaust occurred, is evocative of the years leading up to the Holocaust. You could go to almost any synagogue here on the North Shore, whether it's in Great Neck or Roslyn or Plainview or Syosset, and we have security outside our doors. In some cases, armed security. In some cases, a very visible armed police presence, because as we are seeing all across the country, including recently in Michigan and other countries are seeing in their institutions, their Jewish institutions, that there is a body of people that are determined to kill Jews, to deny us a place in society that is equal to other people. And even the reemergence of ancient blood libels in new forms. I don't know if you know, but this is something that's roiling the Jewish community right now. Just in the last week, there was an outrageous propagandist opinion piece in the New York Times, accusing the government of Israel of engaging in systematic and deliberate sexual violence. I don't even want to dignify it by repeating it.
But why would they write something like that?
You're asking it's a simple question, but it's also a profound question.
Right.
Why is there anti-Semitism?
I would never understand that.
Why is this?
Let people live.
Yeah. Why is this ancient? Why is there this ancient hatred of the Jewish people that in different eras manifests itself in different ways, but is fundamentally rooted in a belief that Jewish people don't have the same rights to personal freedom, to personal dignity, to national self-determination that other peoples do. And so in my day job, as a lawyer representing victims of anti-Semitism and combating anti-Semitism across the country, I see how in every sphere of American life, Jews are being pushed to the margins. Jews are being pushed aside. Jews are being denied their equal rights and equal opportunity. And the woman that you spoke with, this Holocaust survivor, for her to see this happening again in this amazing, extraordinary country of ours that has given Jews and so many others such an opportunity to live in freedom and to flourish as a community is truly tragic and deeply, deeply worrying. And I'll be honest with you, it is in part what motivates me to run for this office. As a lawyer, I represent individuals and sometimes groups of individuals in their individual cases. And the cases that we take are designed to have a broader impact beyond just the people that we serve. But I'll just tell you, our government could be doing so much more to protect the Jewish community. And I could talk about how it could be doing so much more to protect other communities as well. But the echoes of the years preceding the Holocaust are everywhere. And just to take it back to where I started, if you want to see that in concrete terms, go to almost any synagogue here in the North Shore of Nassau County on a Saturday morning or a Friday evening, and if you haven't seen it before, you'll be amazed that outside this house of worship, there is security, sometimes armed security, sometimes a very visible police and almost paramilitary presence to protect us and the worshipers going inside from being murdered.
And that's 100% correct, because I drive by one synagogue and there are police presence outside the it's not right. To me, it's not right, because we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and just because of who you are and what you believe in, it's just a poor thing that we have to stop it. I don't know when it would stop, but I know there was a problem in Lawrence. I don't know if you heard about that, when they were scrolling all kinds of swastikas.
Yeah, that was in Queens. Oh, Brooklyn, Queens.
No, well, Lawrence too. Lawrence, yeah.
Guys, it's all of the above.
Yeah.
No. It's all above. Yeah, of course.
And it really bothers me, because, I saw the fear in this woman's face, and this woman is in her 90s, and she's telling me that, she doesn't know, she's afraid, she don't know, and I'm like, how can somebody be, so fearful that, you came to this country to get away from all that, and then you come here, and then now you're fearing it again. I just...
And I'll give you a more immediate example, and one in my own household. As I described earlier, my wife came to this country from Iran. The Jewish community has been in Iran for 2,500 years plus, and they always face the level of discrimination in that country. But this is a community of people who are acutely aware that in their lifetime, in their own personal lives, almost overnight, they had to flee a country that they had called their home, a culture that they were a part of, that they had embraced, and for that community to be here in the United States and to see to see people marching in the streets with Hezbollah, Hamas headbands, to be shouting slogans like "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," or "Intifada now," to see outside of synagogues, as we've seen in Queens, my old district in Queens, in Manhattan, in Brooklyn, mobs of people urging death and violence against people walking into synagogues, to see the mayor of the city of New York defend that kind of behavior, or to rationalize it, and certainly not to fully provide moral condemnation. Imagine having lived through the experience of having to flee your country because of violent anti-Semitism, and then to see it now emerging in your adopted country. It's deeply troubling and alarming, and I'm committed to doing what I can to stop that and to restore our ability as a Jewish community to live in this country with the same rights and opportunities as everybody else.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I always said to myself, the people that are chanting all this death to this and that, they're followers, because I don't even think they know, what they're against. I don't. Do these people realize what they're doing? I
think so. What we've seen, certainly on college campuses, but I see it. I focus a lot on anti-Semitism in the workplace. People, a large percentage of the college students in these encampments and other situations don't fully understand, certainly the geopolitical
so they're
issues
followers.
Or the history.
They're followers.
They're followers.
Yes.
But they, in order to follow, they have to have a core familiarity, at least, or comfort level, let's put it that way, with Jew hatred, with anti-Semitism, with segregating Jewish students or Jewish employees or Jewish artists and ostracizing them from the community. So yeah, you could go up, and I've seen many videos where someone has put a camera in the face of a student or someone else and says, "Well, from the river to the sea, which river, which sea?"
Yeah, they don't.
and they can't answer the question. But somehow,
it's dumbfounded.
But somehow, they have arrived at the conviction that Israel or the Jews are the problem. And so, how many people who harbor intense discrimination and hatred towards other people, let's take it out of the context of Jews, whether it's African Americans, Latinos, gays and lesbians, you name it. Like, how many of them could really fully articulate in an intelligent way what it is their problem is with that group? They can't. It's a hatred that the setting or the environment is allowing them to nurture and to express. There's an old, I don't know if it's an old saying, there's an axiom. It starts with the Jews and it never ends with the Jews. And anyone who thinks that the kind of mindless hatred that is being directed towards the Jewish state or Jewish people here in the United States can be confined, let alone putting aside that it shouldn't exist at all, just to Jews, is mistaken.
So as what you said before, you're running, but you're gonna run, and you're running for all the people, but you still wanna, we wanna plug this nonsense with hating this one, that one, and the other one.
When I was in New York City, the two districts that I represented, both in the city council and in the state assembly, were what we call majority-minority districts. That is, the majority of residents of both districts were not white. In the council in particular, but also in the assembly, I had a very large Muslim population, Bangladeshi Muslim population. I had a very large Sikh population. I had a very large East Asian population. Only a third of the district, or even less, were white, let alone Jewish. And I am very, very proud of the record that I built and the reputation that I have of representing all of those communities with equal vigor and zeal. After the terrorist attacks in 9/11, I wasn't in office as a public official yet. I was an elected local party official, but I was elected to the assembly in 2007, so we were still living in those after effects. There were people in the Muslim community, there were people in the Sikh community because of the turbans that they wear, who experienced discrimination. And I have a long and detailed record that you can see in videos. The internet is forever. Defending those communities. I have zero tolerance and zero patience for people who harbor discrimination against anyone because of their race, religion, ethnicity, sex, sexual orientation, you name it. The work that I do now on behalf of the Jewish community is based on a simple, universal proposition that Jews, like everyone else, are entitled to the same equal rights, the same protection of our country's civil rights laws as everyone else. And that is most certainly the ethos and the vision that I bring to the 7th Senate District, which itself is becoming increasingly diverse as only New York represents. I'm sorry, I'm very partial to being in New York.
But Long Island is a very unique place. Very unique.
Long Island is unique. And look, every community in this country, especially New York, experiences demographic change, evolution. But they experience it in their own way within the character of the community that has been built by the people who built it. And that's true in Long Island as well. And, I think it's critically important that we elect people to office who have that same sensibility, that same commitment to civil rights for everyone, and perhaps a little bit of experience in leading from that perspective.
It's funny because, so I know Martin Luther King, and in school we were taught a lot about Martin Luther King, but believe it or not, I studied Malcolm X, and I thought Malcolm X. They said he viewed a lot of hatred, which I don't think so. He was a criminal, but he read, he got smart, and he was a very intelligent man. And when I tell people that, listen, I think Malcolm X was one of the, I would say, he was a very important part of this, and the civil rights. But a lot of people say, well, he was this and that and the other thing, and I get a lot of I get people that backlash on me, say Malcolm X was this and that. But also, let's get back to that lady. I was telling her about Malcolm X, and she said that Netanyahu, he had a lot of problems with, I guess, was it Israel or was it the United States, that they try to impeach him, and I didn't know what she was getting at. So I don't know if you know about that, but she was saying that she has a little thing about Netanyahu, but I thought he was a big supporter of the United States, correct?
Sure. So Bibi Netanyahu, who is the Prime Minister of Israel, I think at this point is the longest-serving Prime Minister of Israel, is a controversial figure in Israel, where you think politics is rough in the United States, you should see how it plays out in Israel, but also among the American Jewish community. It's important to understand how inextricably bound Jewish identity is to the land of Israel and the state of Israel, although not to any particular government or policy of Israel. Jewish identity was formed in the land of Israel. Whether you're religiously observant or not, it is impossible, even inconceivable, to practice or observe almost any Jewish ritual without reference to the land of Israel. It's part of our prayers. Our biggest holidays is to return to Jerusalem, and so support for Zionism, the idea that there should be Jewish self-determination and sovereignty in the land of Israel, and what those borders might be is open for question and different opinions. Is a belief that is central to Jewish identity and widespread amongst Jews in the United States and even more so elsewhere in the world. That doesn't mean that American Jews and others might not have very strong disagreements with the government and policies of Bibi Netanyahu, or if he were to lose the election that's going to happen this fall, whoever the next guy or woman would be. The bond between the state of Israel and the United States of America is the closest bond that exists for the United States right now and has for some time.
They're our biggest allies, correct?
They're absolutely our biggest allies. You see the extraordinarily close cooperation between the United States and Israel in the war in Iran, but even before that. When October 7th happened, the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, over 1,200 Jews murdered, raped, burned to death, and another 250 taken hostage. Our president at the time, Joe Biden, spoke beautifully and eloquently in support of Israel, in support of the Jewish people, and that really has been a bipartisan consensus at the very highest levels of American government. And so, I follow the news of what's going on in Israel closely because so many of my brothers and sisters are fighting for their lives, and also because we have a lot of family in Israel. I mean, You just cannot overstate the connection. But the alliance between the United States and Israel at every level, economic, diplomatic, military, it's unrivaled, and there's nothing that compares to it. The United States has, since the founding of the State of Israel, had Israel's back, and Israel, although a small country, punches way above its weight, and has had the United States back as well. And I know that the people of Israel are deeply and profoundly grateful for the support that we, the American people, provide to the State of Israel. But likewise, I think that we here in the United States appreciate a loyal and effective ally.
But can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
The massacre of October 7th. After that happened, you had people protesting on the other side. And I felt like a lot of our elected officials let it I know we have freedom of speech, but I just didn't like the way it was going on. They were Free Palestine. They had all this other stuff. You had all these musicians, Free Palestine, and actors. But I listen, it's not easy holding an office. That's my opinion. But I felt like there wasn't enough done to stop all that nonsense going on, because you had colleges doing it, again, followers. And I mean, how did you feel that what was going on in your own backyard? How did you feel about that?
So October 7th was devastating. October 8th was also devastating. And we are living in October 7th happened on October 7th. We are living October 8th to this day. Literally the next day, October 8th, there were protests against Israel. Our mayor of New York City put out, wasn't a mayor then, he was an assembly member, put out a statement on October 8th attacking Israel. The protests erupted, accusing Israel of genocide before a single Israeli soldier had entered the Gaza Strip. The anti-Semitism and Jew hatred that was unleashed in the immediate aftermath of October 7th is extraordinary and I would say mind-boggling, except that it tracks the history of anti-Semitism. Why did the Hamas and there were thousands of Palestinian civilians who were not part of Hamas who entered the land of Israel and participated in this massacre and held captives and participated in holding kidnapped Israelis. Why did they wear GoPros and videotape their horrors?
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you.
Horrible.
Because they knew that would incite a bloodlust, that it would activate an underlying anti-Semitism, that it would motivate a certain percentage of people to revel in the murder and destruction of Jews. And sadly, they were right. And so, and to I think your point, many of our institutions have failed and continue to fail. Our college presidents, our college leadership on colleges showed incredible moral emptiness.
They just let it go.
In letting clear violations of campus policies, of civil rights laws, in many cases of criminal laws, go unchecked and unanswered. But in addition to that, their greatest sin, and the origin of their other sins, was not speaking with moral clarity about what happened on October 7th and how the demonization of Israel and thus the demonization of Jews who support Israel, which is almost all Jews. I mean the state, the estate of Israel, not the particular government of Israel, is what allowed this cancer, this anti-Semitic cancer, to metastasize and make life impossible for so many Jews in so many institutions, on college campuses, universities, in K through 12 schools, in workplaces. There is not a space or sphere or field of endeavor where there isn't an active movement to exclude Jews who refuse to renounce an essential part of Jewish identity for most Jews, and that is support for a free and independent state of Israel. And I, represent those clients all across the country, including here on Long Island. Represented an Israeli American professor at Adelphi University, who had to fight successfully, thanks to our efforts, anti-Semitism or anti-Semitic occurrences on that campus. I represented lawyers at the Nassau County Legal Aid Society who had to combat anti-Semitism in their own workplace environment, their own union, and all across the country, we are trying to use the law, the civil rights laws that should apply to everyone, to apply them to Jews with equal vigor.
We have a lot of work to do.
We do.
we have a lot of work to do. But
We do.
can I give you some questions?
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
All right. So, there was a ton of questions. So I picked the best ones out, and hopefully you're fine with it, but you sound like a down-to-earth man. So question number 1. What are your top 3 priorities?
It's very simple. Make life less expensive for us here in Nassau County and Long Island, to keep our communities safe, and to hold government accountable and protect our tax dollars. Here in Nassau County, we have a suffocating cost of living. Our property taxes are 20% above the state average. Our county sales tax is amongst the highest of any county in the state. Our auto insurance rates are the 3rd highest in the state. Our energy costs are the highest, not only in the state, but in some cases in the country. And here in the North Shore, the many of the people that we would expect and look to try to solve these problems are or have been AWOL on these issues and completely ineffective. So we need to elect people who have experience tackling the cost of living, in lowering the expense of living. When I was in the state assembly, I voted for and supported the 2% property tax cap that we all live with today, and that has saved residents of the North Shore tens of thousands of dollars in property taxes because we controlled the growth of property tax spending. When I was working for the governor, overseeing the Public Service Commission, which, as I said, oversees the electric company utilities, I was part of the team that forced PSEG to return $30 million to ratepayers. Like, how often do you have a candidate come in and tell you that they've made the electric company pay?
Tell them I'm still paying high.
Pay rate cover.
It's still expensive.
It is. It's.
They're squeezing us. We're being all squeezed.
It's very expensive, and it's important to understand that not all of these problems and these costs are necessarily the government's fault, but there are government policies that are contributing to all of these expenses, and there are government policies and reforms that could be enacted to reduce these expenses. When I was at I was the vice chair of the Nassau County Interim Finance Authority, NIFA. It's the Nassau County Financial Control Board. When the county almost went bankrupt in, I think it was 2000, they needed a bailout from the state, and as a condition, the state imposed the Financial Control Board, which has to approve the county's budget, borrowing, its contracts, etc. In the year that I was there at the Financial Control Board, we exposed and forced the county government to resubmit its budget because it relied on an unlawful fiscal gimmick. We conducted an audit that found that the county was wildly overspending on hiring politically connected outside attorneys, tens of millions of dollars, work that should have been done much less expensively by the county's own attorneys. Now at the Nassau County, at NUMIC, Nassau University Medical Center, we are saving tens of millions of dollars of taxpayer money to make sure that hospital stays afloat. And being in government, it's not about a good tweet on Twitter. It's not just about putting out a press release. It's work. So that's what it's going to take to make the cost of living in Nassau County more reasonable.
Well, people are fleeing because they can't afford here, and I'll be honest with you, we're looking to move out of state too when I retire, because I don't think I could live here with my pension, and my wife gets a pension too. Actually, she gets two pensions. I get one, but we're looking to move out because I don't think that we could survive here, and I feel bad because I don't think my kids could survive here either. So it is a problem.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that all of us are confronting, and at some point you have to ask yourself whether it's in your interest, your family's interest, to stay in a place where your property taxes are out of control, where your energy costs are what they are. I recently had to switch your auto insurance because it was just out of control. And
yeah,
it took me a while to find something that I could live with, but it's still comparable to other states. It's you have to ask yourself, like, why endure this? And then in terms of keeping our communities safe, when I was in the state assembly and the city council, focused very much on protecting the communities that I represented, passed laws that protect women, children, the elderly from crimes that are particularly directed towards them, trying to impose tougher limits on sex offenders. When I was in the city council, we expanded the NYPD headcount by well over 1,000 officers, which was not a popular position sometimes amongst my Democratic colleagues, but we did it. And for the time that I was in New York City, crime both in the city and in the communities that I represented in those 7 years went down. So Nassau County is a very safe county. I think when Laura Kern was the county executive, the county became the safest county in the country, but that requires constant vigilance and
that's great
experience.
Police work too, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean the men and women who put on that uniform and put on those bulletproof vests, they are our front lines. They deserve to be well compensated. They deserve our support, and they are the ones who are answering that call when you dial 911. And then in terms of holding government accountable, this is our tax money that the government is spending. And I take pride in the fact that I am a Democrat, and I'm proud to be a Democrat. But I have that lawyer's mentality that I represent my constituents as if they were my clients, and I don't care who's on the other side. when I was in the city council, I was a Democrat. I sued the Democratic mayor of a Democratic mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, not once but twice, and we were successful both times. So, we spend a lot of money in taxes for the government that we have. It should work for us. It shouldn't waste money. It should be efficient, and it should adopt policies that make our lives better. That's the job.
Do you think the government should let the taxpayers know what they're spending the money on?
So transparency is incredibly important. Was it Justice Brandeis who said sunlight is the strongest disinfectant? I hope I'm not mangling that expression, but
we know what you're saying. That's for sure.
yeah. And that's what I've always tried to do as a public official or as a community leader. That's what we did at the Nassau County Financial Control Board, is expose the county budget where it was relied on gimmicks, and used our power to force them to resubmit their budget without those gimmicks, to expose wasteful spending, in the use of outside politically connected outside attorneys, and my experience at every level of government, from the library board to the state legislature, the New York City Council, to various Nassau County institutions, is that the more open you are, the more accountable you will be. And I have never been one to hide behind no comment or to duck hard questions. Here I am on your show, right? Because the public deserves...
And I'm glad you're here.
And I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here.
The public deserves to know what our government is doing.
And that's why I got a bunch of questions for you, because everybody knew you were coming here.
We got one from Chad. He wants to ask something.
Go ahead.
He goes, I am got complete and total transparent in government. Ask him if he knows or has heard of Long Island Auditor. The guy, Long Island Auditor.
Who was that?
Long Island Auditor?
It's a guy that goes around. He fights for the Fifth Amendment and stuff like that. He goes around making videos. If you know that guy, Long Island Auditor, he's called.
I never heard.
Yeah.
Never
I
heard
don't
of
know.
him.
You've never heard?
No, me neither.
He does a lot of videos on TikTok and Facebook.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm I guess the people who are watching this can see that I've got a little gray hair in my beard and on my head.
And I hate to tell you, we got our new cameras so we can see everything.
Yeah, there's no hiding.
And I know my son's probably laughing at me because you can see he's probably laughing at my little ball spot I got up here. He always teases me on, but
that phone that you're reading from, that thing in your hand, is so much more than a phone.
Dangerous,
right?
dangerous. Very dangerous.
Listen, it's got its negatives, but it also has its positives.
Yes.
And,
100%.
And any individual with that phone can go out and practice citizen journalism, and ask questions of their elected officials, and put it on the internet. Can attend meetings, and transmit what they're seeing at the local village or school district or water district, you name it, out to the community, and really participate in government in a way that was impossible when I started my journey in public service.
Well, I got another question for you.
Fire away.
Do you think that assault weapons, high-capacity magazines, and bump stocks should be banned?
There's certainly no reason that any person should have a military-grade assault weapon or a device that turns a semi-automatic weapon into an automatic weapon. As I said earlier, I served in the military. I've handled those kinds of weapons. I've trained for those kinds of weapons, and those weapons are designed for one purpose only, and that is to kill other people. And as grateful as I might be that our military has those weapons, when our military is called to engage in war, those weapons have no place on our streets. You see almost all of the mass shooting events that occur in schools, for example, have some kind of military grade assault weapon used. They are killing machines, and I am certain that whatever else the framers of our Constitution intended when they included what became the Second Amendment of our Constitution, it did not include allowing ordinary citizens to walk around with these killing machines. Public safety, community safety, is so much more than just passing tough criminal laws and having police officers enforce them and prosecutors prosecuting them and sending people to jail. It means adopting common sense gun regulations so that these weapons of war are not on our streets. It means focusing on preventing crime and mayhem and disorder before they reach our streets. It also means helping people and providing resources to people with mental illness or with drug addiction, so that they do not devolve into criminality and violence on our streets and our subways. So I've always taken a big picture approach to public safety. It's important that we have a criminal justice system that is not merely punishing individuals after they commit a crime, because you may punish someone who's committed a crime, but that crime's been committed and that person has been injured or hurt or killed. That can't be undone. And that's, I think that's really important for our public officials to understand.
That's that's amazing. So I got another question for you. Let's see. Well, this is a long one. What role do you think the government should have in establishing workplace policies like paid sick days, paid family and medical leave, and minimum wage? That's a long one.
It is a long one, but it's also can be reduced to a simple sentiment, which is that we live in the freest, most prosperous country in the world, rooted in a system of free enterprise, of capitalism, and that is why we enjoy the prosperity that we have, and that individually, as well as a country. We're the wealthiest country in the history of the world by far. But that system, without reasonable checks and balances, reasonable regulations and guardrails, is capable of producing tremendous inequities. And so it's important that the government, through the people's elected representatives and consistent with our Constitution, establish those guardrails, establish a safety net. And so that means there needs to be rules about what a minimum wage should be, about the maximum numbers that a person can maximum hours that a person can work in a week, about basic safety requirements in a workplace that are tailored to a particular workplace, whether it's a school or a construction site or a healthcare facility. That kind of those kind of regulations and guidelines and setting of parameters in order to protect people from falling through the cracks and experiencing a tremendous hardship in the midst of this, the wealthiest country in the world, is an important role for government. Hey there.
This is a resident. This is a resident coming to see you. See this?
Yeah. Well, when I parked my car out front, he was very curious. Like, who are you? What are you doing here?
Oh, I thought it was an airplane coming down.
No. That's So.
I'm his brother enemy.
So when I was coming in, he asked me, "What are they doing in there? Is he going to play music?"
No.
And I said, "No, I'm going to do a podcast."
He knows. He knows.
He watches all the time.
He watches all the time.
Well, now he's a part of it.
But is he looking at me? He's running for Senate.
I want to be your state senator.
He wants to be your state senator.
What's your name?
They call me Vincent.
They call you Vincent.
We call him trouble too.
And we're gonna call the cops. But
That's
so we got another question for you.
Fire away.
Okay. If there is a Long Island Railroad strike when you are in office, will you get involved or at least try to solve it without raising the rates again?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the public expects its elected representatives. I don't care whether you're U.S. senator, congressman, state senator, village trustee, to be working to solve our problems in a pragmatic, effective way. And I tell you, if there's ends up being a strike, that's going to have a dramatic impact on
But
us
how does the
here
government
in
get
Long-
involved with that?
Well, in a myriad of ways. So I'm very proud that in my time in government, whether it's in the state assembly or any other capacity, that I've always recognized and valued the importance of working people being able to organize and collectively bargain for fair wages, fair benefits, fair retirement, job security. That is an essential part of our economic and social way of life. And it touches a little bit on the previous question, which was, what roles should the government play in the minimum wages, et cetera, et cetera. So the right to organize and to form a labor union and to bargain for your rights is an essential part of our economic and social way of life. And I've always supported that. And I think that there's a role for government officials at every level to help facilitate good faith negotiations that arrive at a fair resolution for working people, the workers, the employees, and the organization that they're employed by, whether they're in the private sector or they work for the MTA in the public sector. And so, I would hope that our elected officials are trying to impress upon the MTA the importance of coming to a fair resolution of the interests and needs of the people who make the Long Island Railroad run. I don't make the Long Island Railroad run, and I don't think you make the Long Island Railroad run, and the trains don't run themselves. And to be perfectly candid, they're not run by the executives that are sitting in offices in Manhattan. The men and women who run our railroad, just like the men and women who run our electric grid, who work for PSEG, represented by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and just like the men and the women who work in our county and village, represented by CSEA, they are entitled to decent wages, a reasonable expectation of being able to retire with dignity, and it's important for public officials to stand up for them and to stand up for the taxpayers as well, and arrive at a fair contract.
I'll be honest with you. So I was the CSEA president for 5 years. I worked on 2 contracts, and we did want to get a fair share, but we didn't want to raise taxes. And the only thing that I'm seeing is that in our case, we couldn't go on strike. The city employees, even though we were without a contract for months and months, we couldn't go on strike. I think them going on strike is going to devastate a lot of people. My opinion. Is there any way in your position as senator you could put in there saying, listen, you can't go on strike because what it's going to affect? Can you do that, or you can't do that?
Well, no. So the Long Island Railroad, the MTA, and the railroad workers are governed by federal law, and so what you're referring to, what prevents CSEA employees and other state and local employees from going on strike is something called the Taylor Law.
Right. That correct.
And so that's a state law. So there's nothing I could do as a state senator
Right.
to change federal law. But here's what I can do as a state senator, which, I mean, to be honest, our current state senators completely failed to do, and our next state senator needs to do. And what I did when I was in the state assembly, and that is provide the funding support for the MTA so that the system can be sustained, that maintenance can be performed, that service can be expanded. And I'm sure that's something that resonates very much with people living in Glen Cove. Expanding and improving.
It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster.
Expanding and preserving, expanding and maintaining service. So the state needs to do a better job of supporting the MTA, and also it needs to do a better job of supporting communities like Glen Cove, who, I'm sorry to say, are woefully underserved by the Long Island Railroad and the MTA writ large. Somehow Glen Cove and other localities and stops along the line just don't get the attention and resources that they deserve and that they need. And you need a state senator, especially someone who's going to be in the majority, who can actually achieve that.
Well, you have a lot of work to do.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you have a lot of work to do, because if it does go on strike, and who knows if it does or not, and if it could last for a while, I mean, are they going to point the finger at saying, listen, why doesn't this person help us? Why doesn't that person help us? It's actually the unions and the Long Island Railroad, correct?
Look, it's the unions and the Long Island Railroad that are in that room negotiating.
But can't you get involved and say, listen, enough is enough. You're hurting people. People need to get to work. Let's solve this problem.
Absolutely. I mean, the state legislature has enormous leverage over the MTA, and it also is the for all intents and purposes, the governing body of the MTA, and it's the state legislature that passes the law and passes the budget that the MTA lives by. And so, as a state senator, you can expect and you can count on me using that leverage to get the MTA to effectively and bargain and negotiate with its workforce, and to resolve its disputes with its workforce without a strike being the result and the outcome. When an individual has a problem with government, most people are busy with their lives and their families. Whether it's the state senator or the town council member or the village trustee, they want assistance from the government. And every layer of government, every public official, every elected official in government has an obligation to do what they can within their lane and within their powers to solve the problems that people bring to them. And without a doubt, the most important layer of government when it comes to making the MTA work better is the state legislature.
I'm telling you, that's going to be some ride. Your wife and you and your whole family, you're going to go on some ride because you have a lot of work to do, and I think you could do it.
Well,
I think everything you're saying tonight is making sense. Everything that you're saying is making sense.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. And listen, I spent 3 terms in the state assembly. And I'm very proud of the record that I built there. I'm proud of the fact that I made difficult decisions that, now 15 years later, have borne fruit in terms of not just having a short-term perspective. But I think what I might be most proud of is that I was always focused on solving the problems that plagued the people that I represented. And that's the job, to make people's lives better. And you need experience in life.
You don't sound like a politician.
Well,
you sound like a person who wants to solve problems.
That's the job.
That's exactly what you sound like.
That's the job.
I think that's more when his lawyer thing comes out.
Is that what it is?
I was going to make that observation.
Mm-hmm.
So, from what I can see, people come to the job of a state senator, a state assembly member, congress member, you name it, with whatever sort of professional skill set, perspective they had before they got the job. Now, that's a challenge if you've never really had a job before you become a assembly member or state senator. But for me, being a lawyer, as I said earlier, I view my constituents as my clients, and I'm here to go to bat for them, to represent them, and to solve their problems.
You're gonna have 3 million new 3 million. What is it? 3.5 million.
On
Long Island.
Well, on Long Island, you're talking well over, goodness, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a lot of clients.
Yeah, but the Senate district, we're talking north of 300,000.
Yeah.
So that's still a lot. That's still a lot. But again, I
get ready for your phone to be
listen, I've been there and I've done that, and by the way,
and do you have people like knocking on your door and stuff and asking you?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I've done this, and I've done it well. I know what it means to be at the supermarket and someone kind of tugs at your sleeve and says, "I have a problem. Can you help me solve?"
Well,
this?
I know you now, so I know I'm going to tug you now. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you something else. On all my business cards, in all my emails, my cell phone is right there, and people have reached out to me, and
you sound like a down to earth. You don't sound like a politician. Because I'm telling you, I've dealt with politicians when I was the president of the CSEA in Glen Cove, and you don't sound like a politician.
Well, I take that as a compliment.
No, it is a compliment.
Thank
because you're straightforward. I have one more question for you.
Fire away.
What are your main points you want voters to remember you and your candidacy?
I want people to consider how expensive it is to live here in Nassau County, and all the ways that they struggle to make ends meet. And even if they're not struggling, all the ways that they feel and experience that they're paying so much more for the basics in life than they feel they ought to be. And that here in me, I humbly submit, you have someone with experience in addressing those problems and reducing those costs and in imposing a property tax cap and forcing the electric company to give money back to ratepayers and in exposing government waste. So look at this election as a job interview because being your state senator, it's a job. It's not a social media assignment.
It's not an easy job.
It's not an easy job.
No.
So who do you want to hire for this job whose primary mission is to make your life better, to make life less expensive? And, for me, having someone with some substantial professional experience in the world outside of government and politics, I've been involved in lots of hiring decisions. And I want people who understand the job, who have experience doing the thing that I'm going to hire them to do, and that are going to approach the job with enthusiasm and zeal. And that's what I plan on doing. That's who I am. That's what I plan on being and plan on doing. Walking into that state senate on January 1st, 2027, with a plan, with the experience to implement that plan, and with the expectation that at the end of that 2-year term that people give me, I can say, here's how I've made your life better.
You
That's
think
the
2
job.
you think 2 years is too short? You think is it better to have 4 years or 6?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, look, there's different roles in government, and the legislature is designed to be very close to the people, to have to institutionally be very attentive to the mood of the people and what the people want and need. And nothing quite focuses a politician's attention like an imminent election on the horizon. At the federal level, our members of the House of Representatives serve every 2 years on the theory that they need to be close to the people. They need to face the people every 2 years so that they are in tune, very closely aligned with what people want and feel and need. On the other hand, you have the United States Senate. Those are 6-year terms. They are not up every 2 years. They're not even up every 6 years at the same time. The terms are staggered. The Senate was designed to be a more deliberative body, to allow senators to sort of take a longer view. State government is the government that is really most involved in people's lives, education spending, healthcare spending and decisions, our criminal laws, our civil laws. And, I would be concerned if anything was done to put more distance between a state senator or a state assembly member and the will of the voters by extending those terms.
How important is bipartisan?
I think it's very important. When I was in the assembly, we had a massive majority of Democrats, and as we still do, as they still do. But I tried to work with Republicans every opportunity that I could, particularly because I was very active in trying to pass laws and formulate policy that would better people's lives. I'm proud to be a Democrat. The Democratic Party more represents my views, my worldview, than the other parties do. But I first to acknowledge that neither I nor my party has a monopoly on good ideas. And I enjoyed very much the debates on the assembly floor, sometimes with Republicans being on the other side of the issues, sometimes being joined with me in bills that we had sponsored together. This district in particular has an expectation that its elected officials, its politicians, will put their needs above partisanship. And that's what I've always done. That's what I will continue to do. And as a state senator, if there's a Republican assembly member or a Republican village official, even though village officials are elected on a nonpartisan basis.
Well, we got two. We got Long Beach as a city and Glen Cove as a city.
You got Glen City.
But
You have a Republican mayor.
Yeah. Glen Cove has a mayor. I think Long Beach has a supervisor, I think. Or they don't have a mayor. I know that.
No, I think
I
that
think
was
manager.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Right.
Correct.
But Glen Cove has a Republican mayor.
Yes.
And listen, I was at an event with her just a week ago. It was the commissioning for the it was the Harbor Hills.
Yes.
Not Harbor Hills. Harbor.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yacht Club.
Yeah, the yacht club.
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. It was, very nice. And she was there and said a few words, and I was there and said a few words on behalf of our great assembly member, Chuck Levine.
Which I'm good friends with.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
So I served with Chuck when I was in the assembly. He was always a little bit senior to me. And boy, did he never let me forget
He's
it.
good. He's a good guy.
I'm kidding. He's a great guy.
He-
He chairs the Judiciary Committee.
In fact, it doesn't matter where I am downtown. He always takes time. If he sees me, he'll stop and say hello, and then we'll talk a little bit.
Yeah.
He is a good guy.
He's a good one.
Yeah.
But if the yacht club had some problem that it needed its government officials to solve, I'm happy to work with the Republican mayor or the Republican county executive. I don't care. I'm here to solve.
Yeah,
problems.
but I wish a lot of people, a lot of politicians would just, put their, title on the side and work for the people, because we elect you to work and help us, and not, there is a lot of politicians that that work with their own party, which you see that, you're a bright guy, you see that, and it bothers me when they do that, because we elect people to help us and not help your party.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This district has slightly more registered Democrats
Yes.
than Republicans.
Yes.
But the number of people who are registered as what we call blank or non-affiliated, it's either the largest block or the second largest block.
I'm not affiliated.
Yeah, people don't care.
I'm independent.
Yeah, then
I vote for the person.
Yeah, at the end of the day, people don't care. They want their problem solved.
Yes.
And
affordability is number one on my list.
yeah. So tell me what you've done to control the growth in property taxes.
Right.
Tell me what you've done to hold electric companies accountable. Tell me what you've done to make the county use of our taxpayers' tax dollars more efficient. And if you can do that, then all right, go represent me.
There is a question. Somebody texts me. They want to know how the power companies, how did they react to you when you were asking for that money?
Yeah, so that was a war. That was a battle. So I'll give you a little inside baseball. When I was in the assembly, and when I was in the assembly, remember a guy named Elliot Spitzer?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So first Elliot Spitzer was governor, and then David Patterson was governor, and then Andrew Cuomo was governor. That's the governors. And, they were Democrats, but I'm a Democrat, but I don't care. I represent my constituents. Work with me for behalf of my constituents. I don't care what party label's in front of your name. And so I kind of bumped heads with Andrew Cuomo quite a bit. And then I was elected to the New York City Council and was chaired of very important committees there. And as I said earlier, I found myself having to sue the Democratic Mayor, Bill de Blasio, twice.
How did that go over?
Went over very well for me. We won both. We won both times. So
They were probably saying, "Why are you suing us?"
I did get some phone calls about.
Oh, you did?
Hey, yeah, I thought you were on our team.
You're a
I
tough
was like,
cookie,
nah,
man.
my team is my district.
You are a tough cookie.
That's my team. And so, when Andrew Cuomo wanted to here on Long Island in particular, people remember Tropical Storm Isaias.
Oh yes.
And in some neighborhoods, power was out for like a week or 2 weeks. And Andrew Cuomo wanted someone who was, well, someone who was tough enough to bring some oversight to these utilities and get them into shape, among other things. So out of the blue, he called me. And so I left the council and went to work for the governor. And our mission, our mandate, was to get PSEG back in the business of protecting ratepayers, providing the services that it was being paid to provide. And so, we took a very hard line with the electric company. We made PSEG, as well as, by the way, Con Ed in the city and I think Westchester, PSEG paid back $30 million. I think Con Ed paid back, I don't know, $70 million, whatever
Did
it was.
LIPA have anything to do with it too?
Well, so LIPA, we kind of coordinated with LIPA, in addition to forcing PSEG to pay back money to ratepayers, we also completely renegotiated PSEG's contract with LIPA. The way the system is, LIPA owns the electric grid. It contracts with PSEG to run the electric grid, all with the fabulous, fantastic men and women of IBW Local 1049, who actually do the work. And so we forced PSEG. There was a lawsuit against PSEG. We forced PSEG to accept a new contract where most of its compensation is now performance based. So if you don't deliver, you don't get paid. And look, I'm going to be blunt. I've made my own way in this world. Right? Growing up was just me and my mom in our little rent-stabilized apartment. I paid my own way through college, through law school, served in the Army. My wife and I, we built a family together. That kind of background prepares someone to deliver results and to fight for what's right. And so there's no room that I've ever walked into, and certainly not at this point in my life and my career, where I'm not prepared to fight, whether with a smile or not, for the interests that I'm there to represent. This is what my life has prepared me to do.
You're a fighter.
I'm a fighter, but
But you do it in a smart way.
But listen, in that sense, I'm not different than I think most of the people who are listening to this. Most of us were not born with a silver spoon in our mouth. Most of us had to fight and claw and work to get to where we are, wherever that may be. And that's the kind of person and that's the kind of ethos that we need representing us in the halls of power, in the rooms where decisions get made that affect our future.
Anybody who fights with PSE&G, you're on my side. I tell you that much, because the bills are just. I mean, every month they just get so expensive. Everything's so expensive, even groceries now. And
gas is
oh my just goodness. Absolutely crazy.
Outrageous.
But you know what? You know what's sad? So, I talk to so many people. I mean, God, I must talk to, my wife thinks I'm crazy. We're in a supermarket and I speak to everybody. But, you know what people say? They have to make a choice. Either they eat or they keep the lights on. I mean, how do you, that's really hard to...
Listen, I grew up, like I said, it was me and my mom. We lived in a rent-stabilized apartment. My mom was a waitress in a business that my family had founded, but we didn't own it. She was a waitress. She earned a wage. And, she'd come home 9:30, 10:30 at night after her shifts. She'd take out of her apron her tips, the dollars, the bills, the coins. The coins would get put in a jar. And then periodically, when the jars got full, she and I would sit down on the floor with those little, paper rolls that you get from the bank.
The rolls.
The rolls, right?
Yep.
And that went towards our living. If you have never experienced challenge and hardship, it's very hard to go out and represent people who, as you said, have to make choices about am I paying for food or gas or rent or the mortgage this month. It's not a game. This is not a game.
No, this is
It's
life.
not about
right.
It's not about tweets or likes or clever press conferences.
It's funny because
it's life.
What you brought up about your mom, I think about the way my father grew up. Now my father had 13 brothers and sisters.
Wow.
And his father passed away when he was very young. So his mother had to raise 13 kids. And I think he had like 9 brothers who went. They all served. They all went to the army. And my mother's side had 9 brothers and sisters. And her father was always on the ships. So her mother raised 9 kids. So I know it was difficult back then. And you always try to make better lives for your kids, because you don't want your kids to, have whatever you didn't have. You want them to have more.
Yeah.
But today, and maybe this is me just thinking, but I feel that the kids today, it's harder for them. It's because everything is so expensive, and the housing, you can't even buy a house here, and the like you said, the groceries and the gas, the cars, the car insurance.
There are plenty of kids.
It's unbelievable.
There are plenty of kids in Glen Cove and in the North Shore, which includes, some of the wealthiest communities in the country. Plenty of kids who do not see a future for themselves in the communities that they grew up in because it's just too expensive. How do you claw together that money for that?
Yeah,
for that first down payment, or down payment for a house? What about down payment for a car? It's a shame that a generation of young people have to, or feel they have to, look elsewhere and somewhere other than the place where they were raised and where they love to live in order to build a life for themselves. And all I want to hear from anyone running for office, all I want to hear from you is, what are you going to do to address that problem? What are you going to do, and what have you done, and what are you going to do to make life less expensive and to provide a future for my children and grandchildren in this community?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. And me personally, I think all these car dealerships are scams.
You think so?
100%.
Maybe we need to go after them too.
No, they are.
I mean, you went after PSE.
I mean, listen, you go to a car dealership, right? I went one time with my wife, and we spent 6 hours in the dealership. That the guy gave me a deal in 1 minute. It's just a scam, and is a game they play. That's it.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think our senator right here could do anything.
No, I'm not saying he's doing anything.
That's correct. I mean, that's
the only reason I brought that up is because he brought up the car dealership.
Yeah,
and I feel personally that they're scammers.
Well,
the state does have consumer protection laws.
Yes.
that I was a part of helping to strengthen and need to be strengthened, but also adapted to the environment that we live in now. One thing that we haven't talked about is artificial intelligence.
Oh, yes.
And AI.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
That is
scary.
Scary, because without exaggeration, AI is going to change every aspect of our life, including the workplace, including how we shop, the prices that we are offered, the
you can't even get a live operator anymore.
No,
It's AI.
Everything's AI. But
yeah.
you know, it's crazy the way things are now.
What is your? So, I want to get back to you. What do you think is your biggest achievement?
My biggest achievement. Well, I have to tell you.
I know you're gonna say you got married and you had kids, but we have to.
You want to know? You want to know my biggest professional achievement?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
My biggest achievement was marrying a girl who was.
I knew you were gonna say that.
way out of my league. Way out of my league. Did I mention this young girl who came to the United States at 10 years old, didn't speak English? She's now a state Supreme Court judge.
Your wife is?
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Boy,
right.
I think we should have got her on the show.
She chosen
Wow.
a life of politics, running for office instead of being a judge. She'd have gone a lot farther than it.
But think about it. You and her, you came from, struggling background, and look what you and her achieved. But in your profession,
yeah.
What do you think is your biggest achievement that you could be proud of?
Sure. So I think for the people in the 7th district, I'm very proud of the practical, pragmatic approach that I've brought to solving problems. That nobody can say that they came to me with a problem, whether it was a personal situation that they're having with government or, our property taxes are too high. And I responded either ideologically or dismissively or flippantly. I have tried to embody the pragmatism and common sense that I saw growing up in my household with my mom. There is no category of person that is more resourceful, more pragmatic, more commonsensical than a single mom. And I'd like to think that in all that I've done in public life, whether it's as an elected official, as an appointed official, as a community leader, I have brought that same sense of pragmatism and fairness to the issue at hand. And I think that is what this community, our country, needs more than ever. Come and help solve our problems in a pragmatic, sensible way.
I think Long Island would be very proud that you'll be the next state senator, because I think, my opinion, and I don't know how Master J feels, but I think you're very straightforward. I think that you speak the truth. You have a big heart, and when you talk about your single mom, that alone is tough.
No, 100%.
Yeah. Can I ask you how many siblings you have?
Only child.
Really?
It was me and her.
Wow. That is amazing.
I won't say it was me and her against the world, because that's
No, I know.
a negative. But it was me and her making our way in the world.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. And, back then, I could be wrong, but I think women were paid less than men. So she probably had to work a lot to get.
Yeah, and I mean, look, that's true today. My mom grew up in an era where the expectations and opportunities for women were a lot less than they are today. And she had a hard life of her own. Her mom passed away in childbirth, giving birth to my mom. So my mom never knew her mom. And her father passed away when I think she was maybe 12 or 13. And so, she had to work from an early age. She did not have the opportunity to go to college, both because of the family's economic situation, but also that wasn't really expected of or encouraged, frankly, of women of her generation. And so her entire life was about us and our family and what it took to survive, which was very hard. When I tell you that everything I have is from my mother, I say that in like a very real and specific ways. I talked about her work ethic, her pragmatism, etc., but also my sense of confidence in myself and my comfort in who I am. My mother loved me in that, unqualified, undiluted way that that mothers do. And, she built our life and her life from very difficult and humble beginnings.
She did a great job.
Thank you. She was alive. She passed away in 2011. She was alive to see me sworn into the New York State Assembly. Do you know how mind-boggling that is for someone in my mom's situation? By the way, it's not comparable. I was alive. I had the opportunity to see my wife be sworn in as an American citizen.
That's awesome.
Nice.
In the United States District Court for the Eastern District of New York, in Brooklyn.
That's awesome. My mother, she just turned 94.
Oh, wow.
And she dedicated 30 years of her life. She taught, so she's Spanish. And my father was Italian. I don't know what that mixture was, but so she dedicated 30 plus years of her life to she was teaching citizens to be, to take the test, and she did that. She didn't charge anybody. She didn't accept any money.
Wow.
She did it for 30 years at St. Patrick's. And when I could tell you that she had over 900 people pass the test.
Wow.
Over 900. And to this day, they still go and see her because she after my father passed away, she didn't want to, she wanted to do it, but she really couldn't. But to this day, the people that she helped take that test, and she did, and people did it the right way. They still go and see her, believe it or not. 94 years old, and she had
God
over
bless.
900 people pass the citizen test.
God bless.
So I'm proud of your wife too. Proud of your wife.
Isn't this the greatest country on earth?
I love this country.
Thank God.
And when I hang up the banners, the military banners that are Morgan's, I feel so good because I think I don't do enough for them, but I feel like I'm doing something to show them that I care, and but that makes me proud, and I'm pretty sure you're proud, and I'm pretty sure your family is proud, but your wife, I'm telling you, we should have had her here too.
Well, hopefully we could get her on.
Yeah,
one time,
so she's in what, New York?
Yeah, she sits in the state Supreme Court, which is the highest level trial court in our structure. She hears civil cases.
Wow.
And she makes decisions all day long.
So
have enormous impact on people's
when you
lives.
go home, well, when you both see each other at home, you don't talk about anything else except what you're gonna make for dinner and stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Because your day and her day must be like loaded.
It's loaded, and she's also a leader in her own community. She's president of one of the main Persian, Iranian Jewish communal organizations in New York. They just had their gala dinner Wednesday night. She's a leader in different bar association efforts, and so. But she and I, our lives together are the same thing as other people's lives. Like what's for dinner?
Yeah, right.
Did I take out the
go take the garbage
recycling?
out. Yeah.
Recycling.
But it's
Garbage
amazing.
is my job, so I got to be on top of that.
But it's just an amazing. I mean, both of you, the way how you brought yourself to where you are today, and that's incredible.
There's no substitute for having independently made your way in this world. Not alone. I've talked about like how central my mother and her love and her work was for me, and my wife and I, we supported each other. But there's no substitute for having built something for yourself, and what that prepares you to be able to do for others.
But that's the main question is the American dream dead? Because of what is going on and how high everything is, and do I have a chance? I understand a lot of these kids that are graduating high school. They're scratching their heads and saying, "Where are we go? Where am I going with this?" My daughter, she's 23. She went to college. My son, he's gonna go to night. He wants to do trade, but he has a really good job right now. But you want the best for them, but then how do you just tell them, listen, you got to work extremely hard to get where you want to be, but is it possible?
Yeah, the frustration that young people have. I mean, I in my role, both as a candidate, but also someone in public life, in different roles. I have the opportunity to speak to young people in various circumstances and settings, and they are appropriately anxious about whether the American dream is available to them, whether the Long Island dream of owning your own home with a little piece of earth you can call your own is available to them. Things are so expensive. The sort of economic paradigm of it's graduating from high school and being able to get a job that can sustain a family. I think that's very much limited. If you can get into a union and get into a trade, you can make a good living and provide for your family. But the union movement, unfortunately, is shrinking. If you go to college, the amount of debt that you might leave college with could be staggering. You could leave college with what is essentially a mortgage, but no house to show for it. And then the jobs that you're preparing for, are they going to exist in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? If you went to college and learned how to be a computer coder 10 years ago, that was a path to a good livelihood, and
but that's why AI is scary,
right? And now those jobs may not exist in a few years. I was reading where many analyst positions on Wall Street are just, those jobs are just not going to exist because AI can complete them. So, I to a certain extent I had a very straightforward path. I went to college, went to law school, and developed a career as a lawyer. I myself am seeing in the legal field where so much of the intellectual work product that is produced by lawyers and paralegals is being substituted by AI, and so I think people are right to be anxious.
You're a breath of fresh air.
Thank you.
I'm telling you right now. There's a lot of people listening on. I just want to tell everybody, thank you. We're trying to do the best we can to get the right people in. It's so tough right now, but our show we try to we try to balance it out, But there's a question I need to ask you. Okay? This is probably the toughest one of tonight. So there's a inside joke at these seats that we're sitting in. Okay, show them the jar. Okay, so when I was
Hold on, wait, I got to put my glasses on.
when I was growing up, okay,
Okay.
so my mother's from the Bronx,
Right.
but my father grew up in Glen Cove.
Okay.
My father's Sicilian, my mother's Spanish, like I said before. When I was young and we ate dinner on a Sunday, we would go to church in the morning, then go to the bakery, get fresh bread, come home, and my father would say, we're having gravy and macaroni. Wait. Gravy and macaroni.
No, we got, wait. I'll
go
let him
ahead.
answer, then we're going to make
Okay,
my
go
friend
ahead.
here answer.
Go ahead.
'Cause he's a real Italian.
Well, what is my father? He was real.
I call your brother fake Italian.
Exactly. So this is why this guy, I'll let you
So
finish.
so my father would say we're having gravy and macaroni for dinner, and on a Sunday we would eat at 2:00. So, what do you call it? Do you call it sauce or gravy?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not gonna.
No, we want your response. Listen, your response is your response. That's your opinion.
Yeah, but it's okay if
It's
you say
okay.
gravy.
No. I'm gonna. What I'm saying is, I'm not gonna affect an Italian American persona.
No, it's me.
No,
It's me.
No,
It's me.
for me, it's sauce.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear it.
I think a Jewish kid from New York calling it gravy.
There you go.
I put it on air.
Go ahead.
Sauce ragu.
No, no, I don't even.
That's
go.
gravy. Ragu's gravy.
No, it's not.
Yes.
That's fake sauce.
No, because you put that over something.
Well, listen.
Listen.
That's the way I grew up. Just like
Wait. I don't understand the distinction you're making. Tell me.
Okay, what is brown gravy? Well, you put brown gravy over
Okay.
but still,
turkey, right?
Yeah, but
Anything you put anything over is gravy.
I know, but
You're cooking the sauce.
So
You're cooking sauce.
this is our argument all the
If
time.
you're working it into the meal, into the pasta, let's say,
Yeah.
and it's worked into it, then it's sauce?
It's gravy
Oh, okay.
because you're putting it over.
Got it.
When you're
You
cooking
see
the
what I
item,
gotta? You see what I gotta go
when
through?
you're cooking the item, is called sauce.
See what I gotta go through?
When you're pouring it over it,
So the
let me get some more macaroni.
see what I gotta go through?
the sauce becomes gravy once it's poured over.
See what I gotta go
Ah,
through?
I
You
see.
see what I gotta go through?
All right.
So
Good.
I'll bet.
It doesn't matter. I love this guy, so it's okay.
Fake Italian.
Oh my God! I'm not getting in the middle of that.
That's what I call his brother, sauce.
That's terrible.
No, it's the truth.
But listen, all seriousness, we have a lot of problems on Long Island, and I think people should go out and vote for a person that is willing to help us and not help his own party.
Maybe our guest here wants to ask him a question.
Okay, go ahead.
You want to ask him a
You
question?
want to ask him a question?
No, he
No.
don't want to. He's camera shy.
You're a resident. You're a taxpayer.
He already asked me a question when I parked my car, and I was coming to the.
What's he doing? He's trying to charge you?
Yes, no. He said, "What are you doing in there? What goes on in there?"
He's our security outside.
Yeah, but you know what? Like I said, we need people to go out and vote. We need people to realize, please vote with your head. Always see what the person is offering. And I think our guest today, Mr. Rory, you're the person, my opinion, you got all your ends together. You know what we're looking for. We're crying for help. We're crying for new blood. I think that you're on the right path. And I know you're on the right path. Because everything you talked about tonight is what we're looking for. We're looking for help. A lot of people are looking for help. And I don't see that you're giving anything that says that you're a Democrat or Republican. You're just speaking that you want to help. And I think that's what you did tonight is the perfect example of what we need is new blood.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And people shouldn't go to vote because they like the person or their parties. They should go to vote who's gonna
help us.
help us
Yes.
and do the job.
Yes.
You know, anybody could vote for anybody, but that don't mean they're gonna pull the job out.
Right. And I think that you have all your bells and whistles. I mean, everything you spoke about tonight is people are looking for help. And, it's hard living today. It's hard to live on Long Island. It's very expensive. Mm-hmm. The taxes are high. Utilities are high. Now we're going to have a Long Island Railroad strike. Hopefully not. But,
well, that's supposed to be by tonight.
Yeah.
Midnight tonight.
Tonight. But, I think you offer a lot. I think you're very intelligent. I think your wife is probably in a better seat than you because she's very God. I wish we would have brought her here too because it's an amazing story. But I think people should realize that instead of voting for party or just like you like the guy's face or a woman's face, you need to see what they're offering. And I think you offer a lot to Long Island, especially this area here, because it's very expensive. And we'll give you the last word.
Thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's really been a pleasure speaking with you guys. And I'm very grateful for your approach. We're just three guys and a visitor having a conversation. And that's
what it's all about.
That's how normal people lead their lives and make decisions, whether it's around their own kitchen table or in their workplace. Mm-hmm. And the farther away that we can get from people yelling at each other, shouting at each other, and tweeting at each other, and the closer we can get to folks in a room, just like figuring out what they're about and how we go from here, that's the answer to our problem.
Do you have a website or?
Yes, it's roryforstatesenate.com. Go check out the website. I'm in Glen Cove all the time. Today I was at my favorite lunch spot in Glen Cove. I don't want to get in trouble with anybody else. Is Henry's Confectionery. I was there.
Oh, that's
today.
awesome! I love that. That's owned by Joe.
Big shout Joe Val.
Joe Val and Cece owns it. Yeah, we're good friends.
I think he was there.
Yes,
today.
He's always there.
No, he's a good guy.
And no disrespect to any other place in Glen Cove. We've eaten a lot of places. They're great. But where else can I go on a Friday afternoon for lunch and have a Sunday?
Are you going to make any appearances coming up, or are you?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm in Glen Cove all the time, just around the corner from Henry's. I had a couple hours to in between my meeting and being with you guys tonight. There's a little cigar lounge there. I think it's called Unique.
Yes,
Cigars.
yes.
And you walk in and you go to the back, and it's a beautiful little cigar lounge. So I am known to enjoy a cigar, but you'll see me in Glen Cove quite a bit. I'm sure that I'm going to be here. I believe the Memorial Day
go down to Morgan's after Memorial Day. You see all the banners that I put up.
I definitely will, and you'll see me at the concerts and the.
But I want to make sure that you remember when you're being sworn in that you're going to have a Jay and Ralph T-shirt on.
You got to mention the show.
You have to mention the show.
I can't commit to having a T-shirt on because it's kind of a formal event.
Yeah, I know. But
God willing, not to get ahead of ourselves, but my wife will be dressed in her black robes and swearing me in.
Nice.
But I would definitely give you guys a mention because I think what you're doing here really represents the very best of Glen Cove, if I can say that.
Absolutely.
Somebody who
Absolutely.
doesn't, live here. But also the best of Long Island in our country.
And believe it or not, we have a lot of people that listen that, they're from the Bronx and Queens.
All over.
We also have people in Europe, too. We have people in
Germany,
Germany, Philippines.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have a very large audience, and they listen to every single thing you said. And I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
And I think you would do a great job as a senator.
Thank you.
It's a lot of responsibility. I don't know. I mean, you and your wife, you guys got really your lives are probably constantly going. I mean, what do you get? Like 4 hours of sleep a night? I mean, it's crazy. But we really appreciate you coming in.
Yes.
And if you want, you could always come back here, and
Thank you.
the door is open if you want to
Thank
come
you,
back.
thank
And
you.
Yep.
but make sure you bring cannolis and gravy. But go ahead, John. You want to take? Oh, you want to say something good?
Maybe they gotta take the canoe.
So go ahead, John.
Well,
Say
guys, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I'd like to thank everybody for the shout outs and also the get well soon texts and everything from everybody. I'm glad to be back, and I'm not 100%, but we're doing it. We got to keep it moving. Hopefully, next couple of weeks, we'll be back into our spots, and hopefully.
Why you don't like me over here?
No, I don't like to be on the other side. I like to be in control.
What are you talking about? It doesn't matter where I sit. I'm always in control.
You did a great job for the first time in these brand new cameras that
That's
we got
right.
installed.
And you can see my beautiful shiny hair.
Now I see all your gray too.
I know what else is new.
All you too.
Give your website again.
It's RoryForStateSenate.com.
Okay.
All right, guys. With that note, we are out of here. We love you guys. We'll be back next week with another special guest. And just remember, be kind to one another and love each other. That's the only way we can get through this world. I love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.
Amen. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.